Alright guys, welcome to Founders in Conversation, hosted by CSEED. Today we've got some special guests, former alum of UW, Amin Shaykho, Danny Shaykho, and Marwan Shaykho. They're the founders of Kadama. Kadama is an ed tech platform for finding tutoring help. They got really big during COVID and have a huge marketing reach. Today we're just going to be trying to go with them through their journey from students all the way to founders and successful entrepreneurs. Everyone please give a warm welcome for Kadama's founders.
First of all, thank you guys all for showing up today, and I hope we're not taking too much time out of your homework because I know how hard those classes are. But my name is Amin, as we were just introduced, and I'm the founder and CEO of Kadama. As you guys know, graduated from Paul Allen and went to work at Apple. It's a crazy journey there that I'm excited to tell you guys about. And then, when the time was right, we moved full time to building Kadama and becoming literally the most downloaded tutoring app ever since 2020.
Hey, I'm Danny. I've essentially been a student my entire time at Kadama. I actually just graduated this summer, so it's pretty cool. And I was essentially just responsible for all the marketing with Kadama.
My name is Marwan. I'm a graduate from the Foster School of Business. I graduated in 2020. My concentration was finance, although I only worked in finance for like a year at Getty Images. Afterwards, I quit full-time to go work for Kadama.
All right, so my first question for you guys is, what led you to choose CS or business at the UW?
It's paid really well. No, just joking. I think for me, personally, I've always loved to create things. And in a world right now where software and the way you're creating on your phone is like the future, it's sad, but all of you guys probably spend more time on your phone than with your family than going outside and stuff like that, right? There's pros and cons, right? But in that type of world, being able to pioneer from that scale and level was something that was I would want to be a part of. And again, anybody who likes to build, anybody with creativity, right? There's huge opportunities in the CS world. You can go from building a server to building something that people are tapping every single day, like a little button. And obviously, UW is top 6 in the nation, and I live 5 minutes away, so I was like, perfect place to be.
So I chose business when he just said gross, but my father was he was like an engineer. Most of my friends were also doing computer science. I just didn't want to follow that same path. I just wanted to do something completely different. Business, I wanted to do something that's more customer facing. I'm actually able to talk to more people. I'm able to work with numbers, data. That's what I like to do. But luckily with Kadama, I get to use both my business skills working. It's literally a tech company at the end of the day. So still got back to that at the end.
It's fine though. He uses ChatGPT right now to build scripts, bro. So it's he's good now.
For me, I'd say my dad was CS, and growing up, my brother decided to do CS as well. So I was essentially heavily pressured into going to the CS field. But no, at first I didn't really want to do CS. I actually wanted to do med. But as I grew up and I saw the things I was interested in my passions, I couldn't help but find an interest in business, but not just business, but in technology. So my brother and I, when we grew up, we loved to do business side projects. We used to resell things all the time, but we were also crafters. We really like to build our own things and try new things out. And so, during my high school time, when I was that's when you're trying to figure out what are you trying to study in college. It just really made sense that to combine our love with business with our love for crafting, and we already know business and technology is kind of the ultimate duo. You can do the most in that field, and so that's really why I decided to do CS.
And by the way, he keeps saying brother, we're literally brothers, just in case. Because I don't think we look alike, even though people say that.
I think you guys look pretty similar.
Yeah, really?
For sure.
Yeah.
It's our voice though. Sometimes we'll both do a video and people damn, which one is you?
How much did this builder's mentality kind of lead you into this entrepreneurship world, and maybe how did the environment at UW influence that same builder's mentality or grow that builder's mentality?
UW was tough, dude. It was like I was building the company because I was the first. I'm the oldest. I like out of the three, like he's 4 years younger than me. He's 2 years, and so I was the first to go into school, and we all did running start. So I came into the 300 level classes. Imagine my welcome to UW with CSE 311, bro. That's my welcome. And instantly, first day, 12 hours underground in the dungeon in the old building too. Like you guys have actually clean, you guys can see outside these windows. We didn't down there, right? And at the same time, I was building my company, and I had no idea how to build a company, like lead a team, right? So it was super stressful because I would leave some classes to do a call and come back, right? But what I think, and me personally, like, you know, I respect programming, I love people who code, but I've never been a coder. I came into computer science because of like what you can do from the impact perspective and the opportunities there, right? Like I love more people-facing stuff, right? So being able to come up with the ideas and like lead it across end to end. But at UW, I think the number one thing I learned here, especially in computer science, was like the way to learn. Because in all these classes, right, you're getting assignments that you've never seen before. Like you can't even find them on Check, right? They're that hard. And sometimes you can't even do them alone. You have to actually be working with other people. So now it introduces the concept of collaborating with other people, being able to work together, and being able to take something you've never seen before and solve it. And a lot of times even the exams have nothing to do with the homework. And that problem-solving ability translates and is really who I am today, because in all of us, because everything we do building Kadama, we've never done before. Like we've had, for example, we've had like people come and try to do scams on the app and like scammed us of like $20,000, right, worth of like a scam, and none of us, do we look like we work for the FBI? No. But we had to figure out how to track this guy, and he was all the way in Finland, and shut him down, right? And that's the kind of stuff you learn. Like when you learn how to learn, you can apply it to anything else, and it's about, you know, that's the biggest thing, right? So there's not a specific class that I would say like this is the reason I am here today. It's more about like facing, like going through some of the biggest challenges, right? Failing an exam, or getting a C. I never used to get C's on exams until I went to UW CSEED, right? So that's what it taught you.
So you were talking about how like I told you, my brother and I, we were just like always fascinated with like building and like innovating. And you said like, how did, you know, this CS school like really foster that? I'd really say, I don't know if it's just a characteristic of most CS students, but like, I'd say the number one impact is probably the motivation that you'd get from other students, because when you walk into an environment and everyone is really like-minded, they're all like, how can I build the new best thing, the new generation, you know? When you find people who think like you, it's really nice because, for example, every day you can go with them and you can talk about new ideas, you can inspire each other. You're like, hey, guess what? I thought about this. And then you suddenly go into a frenzy of brainstorming how you can actually execute that random idea that you thought about like while eating lunch or whatever. So I'd say like the number one thing that just fostered our passion for like innovating and just building new things is the people in the actual CS building. Like everyone here around, I'm sure you've all experienced it. Like if any of you here love to build things, it's very easy for you to like go outside after class, like in the halls, and you can definitely you could point at someone and they're probably thinking like similar thoughts like you, and you could probably do like some sort of brainstorm session with them. So that's about it.
So for my experience at Foster, just to give you CS students some insights, there's two types of people at Foster. There's the people trying to climb the corporate ladder, then there's the entrepreneurs. It's like an 80-20% split. Most people are just trying to climb the corporate ladder. And what was really telling was when I went to my first career fair, I was just shocked. Just a massive amount of people, like all like lying out the door, like just even get into the place where the career fair is, like half an hour just to get in. Right? Everyone just lining up, we're all dressed up in fancy suits, handing out resumes, talking to recruiters, and I just realized like, I just felt I was like cog in a machine, just like part of the rat race. And I realized I'm gonna work, if I'm gonna try going for the corporate ladder, I'm gonna have to work, let's say I see how hard it means working in like the CS stuff, right? Work as hard, if not harder than that, to get like the top tier of job you can get in corporate finance, for example. do I want to put that much effort to work for someone else, or instead I can put that effort into my own self, into my own company? And that's what I ended, like after that career fair, that's what I was like, that thought of climbing the corporate ladder just left my mind completely after that. And luckily, ever since then, like there's a very strong entrepreneurship community within the Foster School and UW in general. Like I'd say it's probably one of the best schools for entrepreneurship, guaranteed. We benefited a lot from there. We did a lot of accelerators and different programs at the UW Foster that helped us get to where we are today.
Damn, bro, you had it tough at Foster. But guys, like, by the way, there's nothing wrong with a 9 to 5. There's pros and cons to both, just to clarify that.
Yeah, it's just my perspective.
How do you think both Foster and CSE could improve the environment, or help students go into entrepreneurship or get a taste for entrepreneurship?
So, well, I'm initially class of 2020. I just graduated early in 2018. So it's like, what is 23 now? So 3 years ago, or I guess 5 years ago when I was there. And maybe it's different now. You guys, first of all, have a nice building, unlike us. I think definitely more opportunities, like as in maybe even classes. Because I remember I was actually super jealous of my friends at informatics. Like first of all, I'm an Apple fan, right? And I love Apple, and I was like, damn, like there's no class that teaches you how to build an Apple app or like an iPhone app. There was only one class in the informatics department, right? So like I couldn't even do that. And they also had, there's like basically, if we had classes, and I don't know if that's the case now, where they can kind of treat it like you're building a company. Because they do that in business, right? They're like, okay, come up with an idea. From now to the end of the class, you're gonna create like a business plan, right? And they're gonna execute it, right? But the thing is, all the brains, sorry bro, are here in tech, because we're the ones that are gonna be building the startup, right? All they do is crunch numbers and create forecasts that make no sense. So imagine they're like, or maybe they even make it so you can collaborate with the two schools. Like I've been a part of both schools. Imagine they're like, okay, we're gonna have a mutual joint class. We're gonna put people from Foster and CS in a room, and you're gonna get the business guy from here, and the computer science from here, and you're gonna build something at the end. And we're literally gonna grade you on your effort, because we know you're not gonna be able to do it. And we're gonna look for a good business plan, we're gonna look for a good idea, good customer analysis, everything, right? And if I got to do that, I would be so happy, right? And I think I would learn a lot, because a lot of people are also too scared to go build a company, because they're like, well, especially if you're making 6 figures at a company like Google or Apple, like, damn, like, am I gonna take that chance, right? And the best place to take chances is in school, because a lot of you guys, either your parents are still supporting you, or like you have some sort of support, which you lose once you're in the real world, right? And being able to start stuff and explode when you're a student is like the best. And I wish there was more emphasis there.
I'm gonna let the comments about business slide. I think that's a really good point. Allowing different like in Foster, we have something where they're always promoting these different entrepreneurship competitions, and there's these mixers where you can like attend and like meet other people to form a team. I think something that would be very beneficial, like as Amin was saying, don't have this be something exclusive to just the Foster School. Have it mixed with the other departments, because a lot of these businesses, they're not like, when you create a business, like okay, the truth part is business, there needs to be some core component, right? Kadama is a tech company, the core component is apps, so you need developers to make it, right? So you need that. If it's a medical company, you need people from some sort of health major, for example, right? You can't just be business by itself. Yet, for some reason, the entrepreneurship programs are all just in the business school. So for sure, there needs to be some sort of external collaboration in that sense.
That's actually genius. Imagine you can like choose any department and build a company together. That's dope.
I hate to be that guy, but what they said. No, I'm kidding. But the reality is, like, what it means to be an entrepreneur is to be someone who just doesn't wear one hat. Like, you're not just CS, you're everything. Sometimes you have to be the one doing business, sometimes you have to be the one, you're doing the logistics, or you're writing something, and sometimes you have to be the one coding. You're doing everything at different times. And I 100% agree that you can't just have, like, especially if you're trying to foster entrepreneurship, you can't just have only a CS class. You have to have a class that's actually like expanded. You have to have business in it. You have to have CS, and it means the idea, especially of like having like a co-class of having business students and CS students, and even having also 2 teachers, like a CS teacher and a business teacher. That's insane. Like if there was a class like that, and especially if the whole point of that class was everyone here has to build their own startup, and they're giving all the resources that they need, and you're really given free reign, that would be invaluable. Because at the end of the day, like Amin said, as a student, that's the time when you have to make mistakes. Why not do like a V1 in school and fail tremendously? After you graduate, maybe with the knowledge you acquire, you can look back at that class and say, I can kind of see why we failed, but now with all this knowledge, I can kind of see an opportunity. Maybe if I changed this thing in this class that I did, I could actually build an actual product. So the whole point of just having the co class is just really as a runway and really helping in the future. That's an awesome idea.
And just one quick thing, by the way, not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, so we can also like scale that back a little bit. I wish there's just some sort of collaboration where you have to work with somebody who's not like you. Because in the real world, right, you're not gonna always be dealing with like CS nerds, You're gonna like, run into somebody in biology, right? And so being able to pre-collaborate right now with people who think completely different than you is helpful, whether or not it's entrepreneurship related, right? So just some sort of way to collaborate with somebody outside of the school. And because like,
even in the corporate field, right? Like even at Apple, you work with other teams, right?
Oh yeah, like at Apple I had to deal with like lawyers, I had to deal with designs, I had to deal with some craziness over there, right? And being able to know how to deal with those people is very important, right? So like scale, this is nothing with entrepreneurship at this point.
This sort of segues nicely into the genesis of Kadama and how you guys got the idea. So can you just describe the moment or experience that sort of like gave birth to the idea? And I kind of want to hear all three of your experiences with that, like your perspectives.
So which one of those failure points do we want to start off first? Because Kadama launched like multiple times before we made it to where we are today. So I'm going to start with the beginning. I don't know. Let me just take it from the beginning. Okay, well, let's go all the way back to 2001. 2016. 2016, I just graduated high school. He was a year below me. Danny was like 13, bro. This guy was building Lego still. And I remember Marwan and I used to play Xbox together as kids, right? And we get in fights there. Like I was better at Call of Duty, I was better at Halo, I was better at everything. We for like a few years from after that, we just stopped talking. But like we were still in the same friend groups and stuff like that. But in 2018, when I just graduated from high school, and he was still like I think senior or junior in high school, we both somehow like landed internships like in that summer. Like I landed a computer science internship at some startup with literally no idea what even CS is. I swear I had no idea what I was doing there. And he somehow secured an accounting job when he was like 16. And one day we like ran into each other in like this plaza in Bellevue by a gyro shop, and we're like, oh, I haven't seen you in so long, how have you been doing, right? And within like 30 seconds to 60 seconds, we both like somehow realized about each other that we both like are super creative, we think a lot, we're always trying to problem solve, and like we want to build something cool somehow. Like I think within a few seconds we started talking about like cool companies, and then one person said, I wish I could build something, and then like one of us started like just sharing a bunch of ideas, and then very quickly we like pivoted into an app that would allow people to request services like housework, yard work, and errands, and get something at an affordable rate. Because at that point it was very expensive to get somebody to come clean your house or yard work or anything like that, and we wanted to make something that was easy to use, something like a microtransaction, just like Uber, right? How one button and you're done, no having to fill out a bunch of forms and stuff like that. And I guess that also, I think that idea stemmed from me being a bit lazy, because I think like a month ago, my mom was like, you're not gonna go hang out with your friends until like you clean the house. I was like, bro, I'm not trying to clean the house, right? I'm trying to go out, right? So that was also the back of my head, and that was like part of kind of like that initial idea. And so that's like where like we kind of coined that initial idea, and then we started working on it and stuff like that. And the problem is, like, when you're at that age, you don't know how to build anything, right? Like, I had never lived around a code. I didn't even know what system that out print was. He never actually did anything in this. Like, we were just a bunch of kids doing like with no idea what we were doing. But we had this drive where we both, when we made the commitment to each other, we're gonna actually start pursuing this and look into it. Like, we told each other, like, this is not gonna be like any other idea that all of our friends do. Like, you know, when you're sitting in a car or eating, and you're like, oh, you know, I wish I could, one day we're gonna go build this, right? And then like literally one day later you forget about it, and then it completely gets, you know, thrown out, right? And you know, we were like, you know, what if we just like take all the money like we saved from this internship over the summer, and instead of spending it on like buying a car or something, we somehow go hire like a contractor, like find somebody to go build the app for us while we go through school, learn how to code and learn how to do business, right? And you know, initially the idea sounded genius because we're like, okay, we're gonna have this $30,000, we're gonna throw it in, and then we're gonna have an app in like 6 months. But it turns out that just hiring an engineer to build something won't really get you anywhere, because there's still a component called design. You have to design the app, you have to figure out like how it's gonna be used, the whole experience side, right? And this goes back to our talk about, you know, yes, you can be a CS major, but you still need so many other things, like how do you design an app? How do you think from the perspective of the customer to make something that's intuitive to use? And you know, when we hired these contractors, we said, okay, here's an app we want to build, and we were like, we want you to make it so somebody can request service, and within seconds they get the help they need. And we gave them those expectations, and we're like, goodbye, we'll see you in 6 months. And literally, what and you can hop onto the story whenever you want, but something that was supposed to take 6 months ended up taking 2 years, because they would come back to us and tell us, like, you know, none of this is possible, right? You're asking me to design the app, you're asking me to build a backend, you're asking me to do all this, but all you gave me was like, you know, like the Figma files, right? And at that point we were going back and forth where I thought I was getting scammed. I was like, well, I'm paying them $30,000 and they're not building me the app. What the hell is going on? I have homework to do, right? So I would go as an 18-year-old, right? Like oblivious to the fact that there's a whole pipeline and a whole, like, you know, multiple components to build. I was expecting to do everything, right? And during that moment, we finally started to learn that there's a thing called project management, there's a thing called, you know, design, and there's so many other things that need to be considered when you build an app. And as we started to learn those things, we would go at that point and try to figure out how we're gonna do it. So like, we'd either find somebody who can teach us how to like, build a prototype, or go find somebody that can teach us how to do something else. And slowly, we were picking up these different things and applying them to, or like communicating that to those contractors. And something that was going to be 6 months ended up being 2 years. And like throughout that process, right? Because like I was able to, so from this was when I was at 18 to 20, and those were like the 2 years I was at Paul Allen. And so, you know, as I was going by and he was at the Foster School, we were slowly actually taking classes that were relevant to what we were doing and like maturing. So by the end of it, it was 2018 actually, like the day I graduated from CS, we actually were able to actually launch the app and have users go and use it. And I'm talking about some of them, or want to keep going from here?
Yeah, so we launched in, actually let me talk about the accelerator stuff. So when we were going to take our classes, we got presented an opportunity to be part of the Dempsey Startup Competition. So first, it's like hundreds of people apply to it. First place gets $25,000. So for us, it's like, this is a fantastic opportunity, right? We go, we work really hard on making a business plan, and we make it to the top 36, and now we're about to figure out if we're going to advance to the next stage or not after the competition. So Amin was in work at Apple at that time. He flew out just for this very event, this competition. We were so excited, we were like waiting to hear our names get called out to see if we're going to make it to the next round. Amin literally had his phone up holding recording, and as soon as they skip over the letter K, like they don't say Kadama, he immediately puts his phone down. He looked hella sad. We were all depressed, not just him. But then one of the people from the Burke Center of Entrepreneurship at Foster came up to us. They noticed how sad we were. They said, you should apply to this accelerator, the Foster Jones Accelerator. So we did that. This time we got in. And this accelerator, what's nice about it is it's 6 months. All you have to do is meet certain milestones. And if you meet those milestones, you get $25,000. So no need for, it's not like a competition or anything like that. You just have to meet whatever milestones you set. And you meet monthly with a board of advisors. These are all people who've built their own successful startups. And this was a huge moment for us because the number one thing we learned there is the importance of pivoting. So as we mentioned, our original idea was an app that connects you, that allows people to get housework, yard work, errands, tutoring, dozens of different services. The board of advisors told us, you guys are trying to do way too much. Focus on one thing that has the best like founder market fit that you can have the most impact in. And we realized that too, and we decided, we took their advice. We saw that tutoring had the biggest potential, but all of us have actually been tutors and have gotten into tutoring ourselves, so we understand the market, we understand the flaws that were there, and we decided that this is what we want to focus on. We worked really hard to, this is before we were an online app, we were in person in the Seattle area. Danny and I remember we would go knocking door to door in the pouring rain, handing out flyers, going to schools, waiting outside, like their parents are picking up their kids, also handing out flyers, talking to them. We did the most insane amount of work. And if you guys think this worked amazingly, it did not. It did the bare minimum. We put in 10 hours of work just to get a couple of conversions, right? Most people wouldn't have that type of effort to do it, but we were willing to do whatever it took to get to that point. And sometimes you might have to do things that are not efficient, but you still have to do it in order to figure out what works and what doesn't. And that's what we ended up doing. We actually ended up meeting our metrics. We got the $25,000. Things were looking on the up and up, and then COVID hit. And as you know, with COVID, no one was meeting up in person anymore. And if no one's meeting up in person, no customers. So yeah, you continue.
So imagine like we thought we were at the top of the mountain, right? We just secured $25,000. Only 6 startups in the whole University of Washington get that. What happened was when everybody worked from home, right? Or everyone was like doing remote online Zoom classes, the social media rates, like the numbers spiked. Every single person started using TikTok. Every single person was on social media, and they would literally turn off the camera on Zoom, either be on their phones or they'd probably go back to sleep, right? And so grades went down, social media spiked up. And I was, at that point, me and my brother, like we always brainstorm ideas, and we're like, dang, like, you know, this thing called TikTok is popping off, like, there has to be something we can do here, like, there's an opportunity to go viral. And I remember I was working at Apple, I told this to my coworkers, and then the moment I said, oh, I want to go post a video on TikTok, they started laughing at me, like the app where the little kids dance. If you go there as a 20-year-old, that's embarrassing, right? And I'm like, and I even told that to the advisors that we had, like all these people, like they were like at least 50 years old, they're like, TikTok, what the hell is that? They actually didn't know what it was at that point. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna let this slide, right? I remember the Vine days, we missed out on the Vine days, we're not missing out on the TikTok days. And so me and my brother come up with this idea, we're like, dude, let's make some videos. Or actually, before that actually, I was like, I'm gonna post a video on TikTok and see how it does. And what's funny is, the video that I posted was my friend who's in the audience right there. I was like, hey, you've never had In-N-Out before, right? I'm gonna film you eat In-N-Out burger, and you're gonna tell the audience how good it is. And he literally takes a bite in the In-N-Out burger, right? Super suspenseful. I'm sure everybody watching was gonna think that this guy's gonna say it was amazing, and then he's like eating like this, and then all of a sudden straight face, this is trash, something like that. And started the biggest war in the comment section. Everybody was like, what do you mean this is trash? This is the best burger in the world, and everybody was going off, and that video, like, I don't know how many views it got, but went viral, and I told my brother, like, dude, like this went viral, we have to come up with something else. And so we created this other video series called like The Missing Girl, where for like 12 videos in a row, we were trying to solve this criminal case. And video after video was like 8 million views, 9 million, 12 million views. And at that point we cracked social media, and I was like, oh my God, we're doing, like, social media is such a powerful way to reach Gen Z, by the way. Everybody there was like, you know, the other people say like Riz was Gucci, like, you know, like Slay, all that crap, right, in the comments. And we're like, damn, like these guys, these are the people who could use our app, because clearly their GPA is probably low, right? We were like, okay, let's just somehow take our app, make it all virtual, so people, like, it's like basically we made it an Instagram snapshot for learning. Like, you can join group chats, you can text your tutors. It's like literally an Instagram, but for getting help on your homework. So it's very social, it's not boring, it doesn't feel like you're in a tutoring center. Every single tutor is your age, right? So if you're 18, you're gonna get help with somebody who's 19. And I think there's a user of our app right there, Howard's right there. She's used us as a, and she can vouch, like, it literally feels like a social app because you're talking to people who are like your friends. And we had that set for us. And at the same time, I tell Danny, I'm like, listen, we need to find a way to make education fun, because nobody's gonna watch a boring documentary, right? How do we make education fun and kind of like get people to follow us and then slowly like trick them into downloading the app, right?
So Yeah, so Amin and I we're talking for like a while. We're like, we have to capitalize off TikTok. Like we already did TikToks that went viral, but they really weren't related to our company. So eventually, like I had enough. So I was like sleeping one day, and the moment I was like sleeping. I was dreaming of Kadama like the entire time, like while I was sleeping. So I wake up and I'm like, I picked up my phone and I walked like in the middle of my room. And I turned on the green screen feature of TikTok, and I said top 5 apps, top 5 education apps, and then it's like some random music for 10 seconds. I just point up in the sky, and like there's like the Kadama logo, and then there's like another like app logo, and that was like the first ad we've ever posted, and it instantly went viral. We got like 2 million views, and
wait, just to add some clarity, like basically he did a very like funny dance, right? So he's, and he put 5 education apps. And he was smart with it. He snuck our app in the middle, so nobody can tell we're trying to promote anything, right? And so it showed like I don't know, Photomath, Brainly, and then Kadama was the one in the middle, and then he overhyped it, right? Like he put some crazy words on it, it's like guarantee 4.0, download it, right? And then man, keep going.
Yeah, so I do that, and in a couple of hours, like it's like at 1 million views, and then I get a call like in the middle of the day, and then Amin's like, what the hell is going on? We have like 30,000 downloads and the server can't handle it anymore. The app just stopped working because we've never really had, the max users we had at that point was like 30 users. And so when suddenly we get like, huh?
Yeah, it was only 30 active users a day. Imagine from 30 active users up to like 10,000, 20,000 that same day.
No, that's it.
Oh, no, but like, let me just tell you the perspective, like when I saw, imagine in my perspective, I didn't even know he posted a TikTok video. I look at the daily graphs, the App Store analytics, and I just see a straight line like this, then boom, like this. And that's when I start to panic and I tell Amin, what's good with the servers now?
And so basically, like all of a sudden, right, we're just chilling there, right, and all of a sudden we go viral, and I go back, I like run into Danny's room, I don't know where I was, I drive home, I kicked it over, yo, we're making another one right now. And this other one was even crazier because that one got like 1 million views, the next one got 12 million views. I was like, okay, do you see those monkey, like we had like a pull-up bar, I need you to hang out upside down on that, and I'm gonna flip the camera, and then like you're gonna do the same thing again. And I guess that was even more maddening, and that one goes viral, and then we do it again, we're like, okay, we're gonna get an onion, we're gonna pour Chick-fil-A sauce on it because nobody has seen that, you're gonna take a huge bite, and we repeat the same video again. And now we're like number 1 or like number 2 on the App Store charts, right? Like we're like, what the hell is going on? Like everybody's testing, yo, is this your app? I look at my mom like, do you believe in me now, right? And then investors start emailing us. Like we start getting spammed with investors. They're like, yo, is this you guys on the app? We want to set up a call with you guys right now because this is the next big thing. And first of all, this was our first ever interaction as, I think it was like 22, you were 18, 21, something like that. Yeah. With an investor ever. And when you get an investor emailing you first, you think you're some hot, some big thing, right? And we didn't know, by the way, that the VC world is the most ruthless world you'll ever be in. But we talked to them thinking that we're about to get like, what is it, a fact check from them. And within one call, we realized that they basically put us on red. Because what these investors do is, they're gonna reach out to everybody, they're gonna get all the information from you, and then they're probably gonna put you on red, like as in like gonna ghost you. And I remember I actually got super depressed. Like what? Like why did they like reach out to us, but then just stop applying back? And it turns out that's actually what they do. They collect data on all the companies that are growing fast, and eventually, when that company has numbers that make sense, they'll come in and put in money. And I didn't know that, so I started freaking out, and I started texting my other friends who happen to be founders, and one of my friends, Mark, this guy like raised money from the CEO of Apple, CEO of Netflix. Like he's done it, right? He tells me, listen, you're gonna get 50 no's before you guys are gonna get the yes. And in between those no's, you're gonna have to keep growing your numbers, try to double them every single month until you get to a point where somebody, takes the bait, right? And I was like, well, I actually don't even know what any of this stuff is. So, by the way, I hate reading. I actually read a book on how to raise money. But I read a book on how to raise money. I made him read it too. I forgot if you ended up reading it. You probably didn't, slacker. For like 4 months, so this was like in like October or November, for like 3-4 months straight, every single month we were working our butts off, like the craziest hours ever. Like this guy was in school, no sleep. Like I was working at Apple, and I was like, I would literally finish all my work as fast as I can, then at night I'd be working on it. Same thing with him working at Gate. This guy, for some reason, by the way, took a trip to Hawaii during all this madness, and he didn't even get to enjoy that trip because like he had to work on everything, right? So like, imagine we were not even expecting any of this to happen, and all of a sudden, we have this pressure to continue to growing our company. And keep in mind, at that point, we had like hundreds of thousands of people downloading our app. People are using it. Our servers are crashing. People are complaining that they need a refund. We had no customer support. We were like,
yeah, like just to give you perspective, when we say how hard we were working, like I was doing 50 hours at getting images. Like unfortunately, just as we were raising funding, a massive project came in, and it was just an insane amount of work. So imagine 50 hours getting images, 40 to 50 hours Kadama every week for multiple months. And because again, one thing, this is like something you guys might experience if you want to build your company. A lot of people like decide, oh, I'm going to quit my job, then I'm going to start my company. For us, we wanted to continue our jobs as we were building our company. And it's very tough, but people would think, oh, I'm not going to have time, I can't do both, but you definitely can. You just won't have time for anything else in your life. So you have to be prepared for that. For us, it was worth the risk because we did want to still have a stable income as we were growing until we get certain funding. And I mean, to continue the funding story, but as soon as we got funding, we both put in our 24-hour notice, or sorry, 2-week notice. Yeah.
what the hell's a 24-hour notice?
No, 24 hours after we got the funding secured.
Let me tell you, from the day that TikTok was posted, like, sleep, forget it. No, there was no such thing as sleep after that. And so I just want to say, we have to emphasize the fact that we were all like severely inexperienced when this happened. Like, imagine it's straight up, like we went from 0 to 100. So suddenly, I mean, like gets on the call like, with his founder friend Mark, and he tells us, he's like, you have to like double your numbers every single month if you're trying to get investment, right? So the moment that we hear that, we're like, okay, like we actually have to scale this business. Like it's no longer like, maybe like some sort of side project. This is like real. Everything that you do matters, and you're accountable and you're responsible. So from the moment that TikTok was posted, suddenly we started ramping up. I literally had to post, I was posting like 8 videos a day across all like social media platforms, like non-stop in between school. Then suddenly we had to learn how to actually scale the app. So you didn't say this, but he had to rebuild the entire infrastructure of the app. Like
3 times.
3 times. Like if the server fails, no problem, build a new app. Like this is literally what he did. And then we have like Marwan, who's like really responsible like with the business. That this guy was like, I don't know if you want to talk about it, but like the madness that he went through.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so when it comes to when it comes to like dealing with investors, like when you're preparing a pitch deck, it might seem simple, just crunch a few numbers, crunch a few forecasts, but there's a way to make certain numbers. It's the same data set. How you present it is night and day. Could make it or break it in terms of getting funding. Because these investors, they're not gonna they just want to see, is this a good company or not, right? If they have any slight feeling the table looks off, whatever, they'll invest in somewhere else. Like imagine VCs, only like most of them, even the very big ones, like only a handful of companies every year. Very few companies ever even get the opportunity to get funding. So it was so serious. There were multiple days I spent 24 hours straight in the office. One day was 48 hours straight. Imagine 48 hours, no sleep. I'm taking Adderall, I'm drinking coffee, Red Bulls. I'm like, at the very end, it became to a point I'd look at the Excel graphs, the bar graphs. Like it's a straight bar, but then I see it like kind of curving like that. I actually started hallucinating. No exaggeration. And this man, the thing is though, I need another set of eyes. Like, although he's CS, he's still extremely data-driven, business-driven, right? So I still need his input, his feedback. He also needs to approve it, right? So he's also stuck with me. And this man, I was working, and then I looked to the right, I see this man dozing off on the floor. Yeah, those were, it sounds bad, but it ended up all being worth it, so I'm happy.
But the point is, it was really hard. I think some of our lowest moments ever were building this company. And then, finally, it was in April. First of all, I don't know if you guys know that there's a thing called the Y Combinator. It's the biggest accelerator in the world. All the big companies like Airbnb, Stripe, every company you guys use, all those apps getting fast food and everything, they were all on it. And there's this investor who comes up to us and he's like, I've been trying to find the next big thing in education. I want something that's gamification, something that's social, something that kids will.
Founder of Twitch too.
Oh yeah, the founder of Twitch. So it's like I want to find this next big thing, and like to be honest, I looked at every single company coming out of Y Combinator, and then when I saw you guys were doing something extremely crazy, better than what they're doing there. And what you guys had with social media, what you guys had with the engagement, like you guys actually had students using your app to get homework help, right? And the numbers were really good. I'm gonna invest in you guys. And this guy, by the way, his name is Dmitry Grishin. He built something called Mail.ru. It's basically the equivalent of Google for Russia. It's like worth $5 billion. It's like what everybody uses in Russia to search the internet. So it's a massive company. He's a multi-billionaire. He had a whole venture fund, and he was like, tomorrow I want you guys in. I'll do whatever it takes to jump your guys' company. And he was like, he gives us an offer. Obviously, us being a little bit like, the negotiation and like make it up higher, a little bit higher. And then we go back and forth and we secure like a very high valuation. By the way, valuation is like the value of the company that they, so like company could be worth $100 million, $10 million, right? Puts in a check, and he's like, all you guys have to do right now is put that 2-week notice in. And me and Marwan, we've been waiting for this day because we were working like 100 hours every single like week until this point. The moment we got that check in, I emailed my manager, see you later, buddy. Same thing with him. But we had a good relationship there, so like we didn't burn any ties. And the moment we get that money, at that point, like we were hyping up, we were telling all these investors, like, once we have this money, that's gonna be us, we're gonna be the biggest company ever, right? So now it was time for us to prove to them that we're gonna do it. And we started growing, like literally at that point, like tripling every single month our numbers. Everything was growing year over year, and we got to the point where Forbes reached out to us and said, what the hell? What are you guys doing with education? Like, how do you guys have 3 million followers on a tutoring company page, and how do you guys have 2 million people using it? And like, we need you guys. So they're like, they basically nominated us for like Forbes 30 under 30, and then we made it that year on the youngest list of Forbes 30 under 30 and education. And since then, so that was like 21, 22, we've been just growing like crazy. And I don't know if we have enough time for me to tell all the other stories, so I'll just pause here.
If anyone in the audience has questions, we can just throw them out. If not, I have more questions to ask them, but feel free to, yeah, Eric.
How'd you get the name?
I had this one billionaire grill me on the name actually the other day, but I speak Arabic. I speak Arabic, and we all speak Arabic actually. And Kadama in Arabic means service. And initially we started off as an app that like provides service, like the service of housework, the service of yard work. So it's just an Arabic word, and that's why we called it Kadama. Because like we all speak Arabic, we're all from Syria, and like yeah.
If you were to start your next company, would you go 50-50 on marketing and infrastructure, or would you have prioritized your marketing first, like blow up on TikTok, or would you have first secured the better infrastructure or like servers so that it doesn't crash when you get in that much influx? What would you have done differently?
Oh yeah, I love this question. It's actually my favorite question. The biggest mistake people do is they try to perfect something. You're never gonna perfect it. It doesn't matter what you do. It's only gonna get perfected when people are using it, right? And so you need to face those failures, right? So, but what I would advise people to do today is very different than 5 years ago. Today, you can literally use so many different softwares and services to prototype an app without writing a single line of code. You literally can go, I forgot the tool's name, but it will literally, it has, it's a very easy way to design it too, so you don't even have to worry about design. You can use a few templates, make some changes, connect a bunch of pages together, and people can virtually use it like on their phone basically as if it's the real app. So it's almost as close to the real thing as possible without writing a single line of code. Then what I would do is I'd go build a website. Let's say I'm building an app to connect you to the best farmer, right? I'll call it Farmo. I'll go make a website, farmo.com, and it'll have a landing page and it says try our product here. Then I'll take that website that takes you to an app that doesn't really work, and if I have a little bit of money, like let's say $100 or $500, I'll go run some ads on it, and basically ads just run on social media and see how many people click it and actually go to the website. And there's a lot of different data you can look at, but there's specific data that will tell you that this actually is getting people to care enough to look at it, right? And if the impressions there look good, that's gonna be an indication for me to go and build it with my time now, right? And if I don't have money to go run ads, I'll just go post 1,000 videos on TikTok like we did until one goes viral. And if it never goes viral, the app probably sucks. And so that's exactly how I would go about it today, because now you don't have to spend a single like nickel on building an app, and you get a quick try it out like that, right? It's like literally like simple testing. And the cool thing about this is you can actually go build 5 different ideas. In fact, if you want to build an app on the App Store, you can go put a pre-order app. What that means is Apple will let you put 5 screenshots in a logo, and when people go to download it, it just puts like a pre-order, so it'll be like coming soon. So you can go as far as making a fake landing page, and at the end of the day, if you're able to get people to go to that landing page, it means what you're doing actually matters, right? And now you can go build it. So the biggest mistake is for you to have that idea and go build it in secret for 2 years, thinking it's the next big thing, and then be oblivious to the fact that everybody else doesn't care about it, right? And so that's possible today given the tools we have in AI and all that stuff. I don't know.
I just wanna, so I mean, give the approach of like, do the simplest way possible, but if you were actually going to build an app from scratch, I would say you have to focus on simply, so it's like a balance like between marketing and actually development. But when you're first starting out, you first just make an MVP. And you have to make sure, like as in your CS, like as a coder, just make sure that you build the app in a way where it's scalable. So don't worry about like, oh, can we handle 1 million people? Just you know, if you can handle like your 10K people, that's okay, because you're just starting off. So you build the MVP, it's like as bare bones as possible, and then you start to market, and you just keep trying to market until you get downloads and you've got success with your marketing. Whichever way you do it, doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, social media, but that's like the best way to do it right now. So once you have the MVP, you market, you get some success, then you start scaling up. I'd say, like, of course, like there's always like the chance of going insanely viral with your product, but there's always the chance that you might not necessarily like get 1 million views in one video, and you'll get, you know, a couple like 100,000, something like that, which will give you a good amount of users. So at the end of the day, just have the MVP, market, and it's scale according to how much people use your app. It's really just like a step-by-step process. You don't have to build the most superior app from the beginning. It's just being a perfectionist is not the way to go when you're an entrepreneur.
Just quick, like 2 clarification. It's not mutually exclusive. It's like do what I said first and then jump to what he said. So like once you validate it, then go build the basic MVP. Don't worry about making it so it can handle 1 billion users. You're lucky to get 5 at the start, right? And then what was the last thing you said? Being a perfectionist early on is not the right thing, but obviously once you're actually scaling, then attention to detail matters, because then you know you're perfecting something that actually works, and obviously Apple is what it is today given the pixel perfect designs you see, right? So that's when it matters, but at that point you probably have a team and users.
And real quick, just to define when we say the word perfectionist, right? So let's say you had an idea, you wanted to build like 1 million features, right? Do not build so many features. Keep it as bare bones as humanly possible, because what should lead your decision to build features should be based on data, qualitative and quantitative data. You look at this is what I do at Kadama. Like I look at the analytics, I look at the funnel, how people are converting. I see where there's opportunity to build features. I communicate with Danny and Amin. We sit down, we work together to build a feature that's actually driven by data. I ask Amin to put metrics that I can query for to test the success, like A/B test, and test like the success of the features and how it's going to be implemented. And that should be the type of process, but definitely don't invest all your time early on. Let customers and data lead your decisions.
And we learned this the hard way, like burning $50,000 on features that we thought are gonna change the world, but nobody used them. And I'm not gonna lie, when you build a feature and you build something, it's like your little baby, right? So it's like when somebody says they don't like it, it's like, yo, why are you insulting my son like that, right? And then especially when you have to actually like completely delete the feature off the app, it hurts. But eventually I realized like I'm not even sensitive anymore. If this guy comes in, you know, you can always trust the guy who's bald. If he comes in and tells you like this is not like the data says otherwise, you delete it and you chase the data. And of course, stay true to the vision and the goal, because as long as you're doing that, like you're going the right path, because like it's the customers that speak, not you necessarily.
Yeah, so you just data. Like when you're starting off, like we said, like MVP, and then your customers will tell you what to do, and you know you're just the magician. You're like, and then the new feature pops up.
All right, to conclude the event, I'm gonna ask one final question, and then we're gonna have a little like happy hour in the room across the hall in Geo4. But the final question is, what's the future of Kadama like, especially in this AI-centric world?
Well, there is a lot of things that we're working on right now, but the biggest thing for a company like ours at the end of the day is like cost. People, if they can pay lower or cheaper for something that's equally as good, they're gonna go for it. And as good as it sounds, right, having human tutors, right, there's a lot of benefits to that, but they are expensive at the end of the day. Even though we actually are statistically one of the most affordable tutoring apps ever, you know, if AI gets good to the point where it can replace a tutor, we're forced to think in that direction, right, to compete. But AI right now isn't anywhere near. Right now, AI there's a lot of benefits to it, but it will never, for somebody who needs tutoring, it will never like fully replace it at the very moment. Right now, it's more of like a tool. So you can actually take a tutor and accelerate the process of receiving the tutoring. For example, we're humans, we forget stuff, right? So imagine in real time, instead of them forgetting something, they can use ChatGPT to look something up, right? So it's a tool. And also it could serve as a way for us to actually solve all the early and the easy problems first, and in a situation where AI can't handle it, we actually go in and leverage the human tutor. So what we're actually doing right now is creating something called Kadama AI, where every new student comes in on the app and they're greeted by this AI, but it doesn't sound like a bot, okay? We have millions of data of Gen Z speaking, because we're actually the biggest text-based tutoring app ever. So we're training our AI to speak like Gen Z. So it will literally say like Riz, what's good, Brody, blood, everything you see in the TikTok comments, it says, right? And it's completely fine because that's how they speak to each other. And also, because we have so much data, students, like people your guys' age as well, you guys probably communicate stress through text. There's different social cues through text. And a lot of kids, Gen Z, prefer to text over a call. So our AI is aware of emotions, those kind of things. So when we talk to it, it doesn't seem like a bot. And that's how people coming onto the app will start interacting. And because AI isn't perfect, whenever the AI deems itself not to be ready or capable of solving something, or even if the student expresses confusion or frustration, it will actually connect you with a human tutor in real time. And now we can actually provide very, very affordable costs for students. And for those who need that extra help from a human tutor, they can obviously do that quick upgrade and get that help. So it's like the best of both worlds, and that's going to be the future. And you know, we were actually just at an event where we spoke with like Bill Gates and actually Sam Altman from OpenAI, and they were talking about this and how Bill Gates said, like, you know, AI has huge power right now to change tutoring and education, and I have a whole, like, I think there's a lot of stuff that has to change within education in general in schools, but he's like, there's huge potential right now, but the question is, can somebody build that human, the AI tutor that actually is intelligent, emotional-wise, right, and from a social perspective, and the first one that does that is going to win that game, and we're in that race right now to become top dogs.
I think you guys have a big leg up with the data that you've collected the past few years. So everyone, please give a warm round of applause for Kadama.